Hello and welcome to another Tier Maker special on the Football History Boys YouTube channel. Today we are going to South America to rank all 10 South American footballing nations. We did the European one very recently. Now we thought we'd go to South America, which of course has so many World Cups within it. We have, of course, Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, Paraguay, Peru, Bolivia, Uruguay and Venezuela. Are you ready to get started?
I am. Some incredible football history in this nation or this continent, isn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely. So we have five different tiers. We have one for that best South American nation, and then going all the way down 2 to 3, 4 to 6, 7 to 9, and finally 10 for that South American nation which hasn't had as much of an impact. So let's start with the 2022 World Cup winners, Argentina. Thoughts?
I mean, when you talk about some of the greatest nations in football history, with Argentina are there. They've got two of the greatest players ever, haven't they? In terms of, if you look at individuals, Diego Maradona, Lionel Messi. But we also consider their World Cup performances. Obviously, win it in '78, win it in '86. That Maradona one, 22. That really special one for Messi. Have been ever present there. Have obviously had rivalries with England, rivalries with lots of nations. Yes. Successful in the Copa America, incredibly successful in the Copa America.
15 of those, so...
Yeah, a lot.
The most.
A lot. 3 World Cups, 15 Copa Americas. We're straight away talking about a challenger for that number one spot, aren't we?
We are. I think they're just unlucky that they're going to come up against the next team.
Yeah.
But I think, should we put them in the 2 to 3 for now?
Let's put them for 1 for now. They can sit on top of the tree for the moment.
There you go. Argentina, number 1 for now. Right, going on to Brazil then. So we can see Brazil's badge there with 5 stars on top of it. The 5 World Cup wins, 58, 62, 70, 94 and 2002. You know, when you think of football, you think of Brazil.
You do. When you sort of first start watching football, Brazil is everything you hear about in terms of the greatest to ever do it. You know, the chant is just like watching Brazil, talking about how great, you know, it is the best team to watch. That whole Joga Bonito, play beautiful, all that. You know, the names that we've known from our childhood, people like Ronaldinho and Ronaldo, Kaká, obviously more recently people like Neymar, but then going back, you've got Pelé, you've got Carlos Alberto, you've got those legendary teams
Socrates,
of the past,
Zico,
that you just hear about throughout really modern football history, but equally back into the whole, certainly the World Cup history, isn't it? So I suppose 1930, 1950 onwards is where Brazil are key.
And even 1950, of course, the Maracanazo, you know, it's a defeat because it's Brazil and because it was at the home World Cup, it has such a, you know, relevance to it as well.
Yeah.
So even in defeat, they're still...
And
really
so many
important
stories, you know, everything. That losing 7-1 to Germany. Incredible. Obviously, an embarrassing defeat. But again, it's involving this nation that just seemed to feature at every big moment in football history.
If there's any blotch on their record, it's probably the Copa America. Only 9 wins in the Copa America, which I was quite surprised about.
But you'd expect more. You expect far more.
Well, you know, Argentina and Uruguay both got 15, so only had to have 9.
Yeah.
He's a bit of a surprise. Of course, you know, Copa America this summer, which is of course why we're doing this as well. They could maybe win that. I reckon it'll be a very close one this year, though.
Yeah.
Right, they're going to have to get number 1, aren't they?
They are going to go number 1. Their World Cup record pushes them there. Obviously, a great rival with Argentina, but you know you can't knock Brazil. They are the greatest of all time, probably in all football.
Spot on. Right, let's go to Chile then. Chile, 1962 World Cup hosts, came 3rd in that World Cup. Have had quite a resurgence in recent years. 2015 and 2016 Copa America winners. Beat Argentina both times, I think, much to Lionel Messi's disappointment at that time. Another country with some fantastic players over the years. Thinking of Marcelo Salas and Ivan Zamorano in the 90s. And then more recently, you got your Alexis Sanchez, Arturo Vidal, Vargas. You know, some really strong players there. What do you think about them then? Where are they going to go?
I think they're a really sort of attractive team to get behind at those World Cups. Think of their runs in recent World Cups. People got behind them, wanting to do really well. Obviously, Bielsa and everything like that. The attraction of him as a character. I think when you look at their record, obviously it's nowhere near the first 2 we've talked about. But it's still not bad. They've still won things. They've still gone reasonably deep in a couple of World Cups. You know, I don't think they're 3rd. I think they certainly challenge, and probably Chileans watching this would argue 3rd. I don't know whether they should be in that 4 to 6 category for me, though.
Yeah, I think so. Somewhere in there, and then we'll work them afterwards.
Yeah, exactly that.
I think so. I remember the 2014 World Cup, they played Brazil, didn't they? And he almost knocked the
it was
penalties out,
amazing.
wasn't it? They
It was
almost knocked him out.
amazing.
Right then, Colombia, probably a similar kind of ranking
It is,
to
isn't
Chile,
it?
I reckon. Won Copa America in 2001 when they hosted it. Of course, recently they had a good run in 2014. I'll say recently, 10 years ago now. But they had a good run to the quarterfinals of the World Cup. James Rodriguez played the tournament, wasn't he? Always should have been playing the tournament. Top goal scorer as well, and Falcao was playing. It was a really good team. You think back to the 90s, got Valderrama.
Yeah,
what an icon he was of football history. Interestingly, they have only won the one Copa America, and
2001 or something like that. I think it was. So it's reasonably late in football history, I suppose, isn't it?
And it's a bit of an isolated one, really. They won it at home, and they didn't qualify for the 2002 World Cup, so it was a bit of a shock. Right then, what are we thinking about then?
I think they're behind Chile for that reason, for me.
Yeah, I think the single Copa America maybe pops them down. I do think, I think it's a big moment. So you said about Brazil earlier, about the 1950 World Cup, and they lost. Of course, they got Escobar, and Escobar, who obviously was killed, wasn't he, after their own goal in the 94 World Cup.
Yeah.
So again, even
major moment.
They've got a big influence of football history from these moments as well.
And that 2014, they were amazing, weren't they? They were great to watch. They were so happy on the pitch, the dancing, everything. They were such a great team.
And that Brazil game, it was so feisty. I think they might be challenging for this Copa America though. Luis Diaz, good for they beat Spain recently as well, so I think they could be challengers. Right, I think they are suited by that though. Right, Ecuador, interesting. They've had a bit more of a recent.
Yeah, I feel like they're always at a World Cup. They've played England a couple of times. Certainly, I remember them playing England. Yeah. So always present. Not obviously the most successful in terms of comparing to some of the ones we've talked about already, but they are always there or thereabouts. And so we're not putting them in the bottom, but I think they're probably a tier below Chile and Colombia.
Yeah, I think they're in that 7 to 9. But pretty good. More recent history as well. Right, Paraguay. Now, when I was younger, they always seemed to be qualifying for World Cups. They've fallen off a bit recently. Quarterfinals in 2010. Yeah. Of course, some big players there. Roque Santa Cruz, of course. Is it Cardozo as well, the Benfica striker? He was really good, wasn't he? Paraguay, interesting one. They've won the Copa America a couple of times as well. I think they got to be pushing that 4 to 6, haven't they?
Yeah, I think so. But I think they're probably, when you think about them in terms of that continent, more aligned with Ecuador than they are the other two, maybe.
Okay, right. Let's pop them down.
I think above.
They're definitely
above Ecuador, but to 7th maybe.
They were in the first World Cup as well, 1930. Paraguay were there. Right, Peru. We got a lot of Peruvian fans.
Yeah, I love this.
As we had a Twitter poll a few months ago to find the best football shirt of all time, and Universitario fans overwhelmingly got back their team, and we had an abundance of supporters. Coming through. That was amazing. I think we had a few million hits on that. So Peru, interesting. Now their recent history not as strong. They did qualify in 2018. Remember, they had a massive fan base that came over to Russia. Yeah. Their heyday, probably the 30s and then the 70s with the Kubilias. Yeah. So that amazing Travella free kick against Scotland. I think the 70s they always seemed to be qualifying for the World Cup. Yeah. They had that controversial game against Argentina as well when they lost 6-0. The Argentina had to win 4-0, I think, in 78 to qualify. Yeah. And conveniently, they managed to get that total. A lot of people thinking it's to do with the military junta in place in Argentina at the time. But I think, Peru, interesting. They've won the Copa America a couple of times.
Twice, twice. Obviously, some quite an attractive side against those players, people like Nobby Solano, the trumpeter. Obviously, we learned a little bit more about them actually through them following us. You did a bit of a deep dive into
36 Olympics when they beaten Austria, and then reports came out that their fans stormed the pitch wielding revolvers, which probably was a bit of a hoax staged by the Nazis at the time to make Austria stay in. Austria, obviously, of course, with the Anschluss, around the corner, looked good for them. So Peru were kicked out and they left the World Cup, and then from that moment, then they won the Copa America, I think, in the late 30s.
Yeah,
Lolo Fernandez.
It's amazing, really, actually, when you look at the spread. That 1939 they win a Copa America, 1975 they win a Copa America, 2019 they're runners-up in a Copa America.
That's a really good point.
So it's a spread of throughout Conmebol history. So I wonder whether this could be our 6th placed side.
Yeah, it could be. So I'm looking at your list here. Well, Paraguay have got 6 runners-up places. That's all I'd say. And Peru have got one. But we're big in Peru, so we'll put Peru into that 6th place.
And we're still looking for a Universitario shirt. So if you're watching this and have got access to a Universitario shirt, or any South American shirts, we'll add them to the wall. We'll get them on there. Send them our way.
Right, okay. Let's look at Bolivia now. Bolivia, you don't really hear much about them. More recent history, I remember them smashing Argentina in 2009, 6-1, wasn't it? Because their pitch is like the highest pitch in the world, so the altitude is really difficult for all the away teams to get used to. 3 World Cups they qualified for. I think the first one, maybe as recent as 94 as well. I think they have won the Copa America. They are, going to be down at the bottom though, aren't they?
I think they're 9th.
Yeah.
And we can have a debate about Venezuela perhaps in a minute, but I think they're 9th.
Okay. Right, Uruguay, we can see 4 stars above their crest.
Tell us why.
2 for the World Cups. I did a short on this. 2 for the World Cups, and then 2 for the Olympics in 24 and 28, which were as good as World Cups at the time. Because the World Cup didn't exist. I mean, Uruguay has such a significant impact on football history. For such a small country, about just over 3 million, isn't it? I think it's really
population
small.
of Wales.
Population of Wales. And yet, they won the first World Cup, which they hosted as well. Which, was pretty massive host World Cup in this country as small as Uruguay at the time. In their 100th year as well. They then won it again in 1950 with the Maracanazo and the shock of beating Brazil.
Amazing.
They got to semi-finals, 54. And then more recently, they haven't done as well. However, 2010, they came 4th. They're always,
there or thereabouts. The likes of Suarez,
Cavani,
the likes of Cavani,
Forlan,
who have played their parts at World Cups. They are certainly present. They've won a heck of a lot of Copa Americas.
15, so as many as Argentina and 6 more than Brazil.
And I think it speaks for themselves then in terms of where we tier these top 3. They're alongside Argentina. They're not quite above them.
I'd say, if this was done before the 2022 World Cup, I'd have Uruguay above Argentina. Because of the impact of winning the first World Cup and the Maracanazo.
Yeah.
But that 3rd World Cup now of Argentina, I think, propels them just to a new level now.
And I'm sure some Uruguayans will argue with us, but I think, certainly from maybe a European perspective, the big 2 that you would talk about would be Brazil, Argentina, but Uruguay have to be considered there.
For such a small country as well, it's pretty
phenomenal.
Pretty incredible.
It is doing it for the small countries, and I like it. It's like Croatia, like Wales, love it.
Brilliant. And last but not least, it is Salomon Rondon's nation. It is Venezuela, little Venice. They're going to be towards bottom. The only South American team here to have never qualified for the World Cup.
Wow. That's a monkey on their back, isn't it?
I know. They never won Copa America either. They're going to have to go to the bottom, aren't they?
It speaks for themselves. Thankfully, it's been quite an easy tier ranking to do in terms of merit. I'm sure people will argue with us, and that's absolutely fine. Tell us what you really think. Tell us where you think we could have adjusted this. But certainly, I think what a continent in terms of their impact in the beautiful game.
And we also had 10 World Cups between them. Pretty impressive. So that is our tier making list. Have a look at it now on the screen. We've got Brazil as number 1, going to Argentina and Uruguay. Then Chile 4th, Colombia 5th, Peru 6th, Paraguay 7th, Ecuador 8th, Bolivia 9th, and finally Venezuela in 10th. Let us know if you agree or not. Leave a comment below telling us who you think should be at the top or who you think should be higher or lower. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Also in the comments, let us know who you think is going to win this year's Copa America. I'm really looking forward to it. Being hosted in the USA. So
Random,
but it's a good idea for us for the World Cup coming in 2026. So you can check out our 2026 schedule video as well. There's quite a few other countries competing as well, 16 altogether. So there's 6 countries from outside of South America taking part. So it's going to be an interesting one to see how that goes. Okay, if you liked what you saw in the back of the screen, you will have seen this amazing print by Football Art Online. As you can see, it has the 5 World Cups that Brazil have won from 1958 all the way down to 2002. It also features Pele, Romario and Ronaldo, so some absolute legends of the game as well. You can get hold of one of these on Football Art Online, so please check out them in the description below. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again next time.